Hey guys, today we are talking about power in your escape trailer. Everything from hooking it up to some common questions. Here's our power pedestal. Now, because we know that we have a 30 amp available, we can go ahead and just use the cable that came with our trailer. But if we were plugging into, say, a house or an extension cord, more mooch docking perhaps, we can go ahead and use a 30 to 15 amp adapter here. The first thing I'm going to go ahead and do, take my cable here, and it's as simple as setting it in there and twisting it on. It will only go one way. Here we have two 20 amp outlets, a 30 amp, and a 50 amp. Of course, we're going to want the 30 amp. But before we plug in, we want to make sure that these breakers are off. And so you have two for the 50 amp, 130 and 120. So let's make sure everything is off, and we can go ahead and plug in. Now we can hit that breaker to turn that on. And as you can see here, because we have power, our cable is lit up. Now, out of habit, before I head in, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the electric mode for the water heater. So right down here we have a little switch, and right now it's an off, and we're going to go ahead and turn that to on so that we can use the electric element to heat our water. Well, if we take a look, we can see that our fridge is not automatic, but we have a propane unit and it's running on propane. If we go ahead and move up here, we can see that our digital multi-control is off. We have charger only, off, and on settings. On the screen next to it, we can actually see the inverter/charger is off, but our batteries are 97%. That means we can run DC loads here. We're running about 60 watts for a fan and some lights, but we're not running AC or alternating current loads. That means that these outlets aren't working, our fridge is not working on electric. Now this display is fantastic. It will give you a ton of information, including your battery level, how much solar you're getting in, and how much is going out here. Well, right now we have nothing going out on the AC side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over to on. Now, typically we will keep this in the on position rather than the charger only position. And there's one very neat trick here. You see this number here, it shows 30 amps. That's what that indicates. So we get 30 amps that it could potentially pull. And in fact, when this connects up in just a moment, we can see we're now bulk charging, and we can pull in a good amount of power. So right now it's slowly creeping up there, well over 2,000 watts as we can see. It'll keep going up. But what if we don't have a full 30 amp connection? We are mooch docking. We're only plugged into somebody's garage, for example, and they have a regular 20 amp breaker. We can go ahead and set this down to only pull in, say, 17 amps. And accordingly, this will adjust to have less than 17 amps. But what if we don't even have that? We're sharing that outlet. We can say, go down to 9 amps. And again, this will pull 9 amps at 120 volts. So one might use the charger only mode. We actually keep ours in the on mode all of the time. You see, what happens is that in this instance, we can set our current limit to 9 amps. But what if we're also running an air conditioner for a short period of time, or an air fryer or something like that? Well, this system's very smart, and it assists. As we can see here, if I go ahead and set this to 8, we are absorption charging. But if I kick on something that takes a significant amount more power, it will go ahead and it will show assisting right there. Then it's very smart. It automatically switches back to charging your batteries and supplying power here when that load drops off. That's something that does not happen in charger only mode. What ends up happening there is it's passing through that power, and any excess gets sent to your batteries, but it does not respect the current limit. And if you go over, you will blow the breaker outside, having to reset that. So this little display is very handy, and although it might seem overwhelming, it's very easy to navigate. And you can see this is the shore power that we have coming in. But because our batteries are at 98%, we don't require any solar to come in. But if I go ahead and I disconnect it from shore power, that solar would go up to compensate for the loads that we have here, as long as we keep this in the on position. Now, one thing that can be kind of confusing, but also very cool, is the fact that if we go ahead and disconnect from shore power, like we usually are, as long as this guy's in the on position, we don't notice any difference. We can run our air conditioner, we can run our air fryer, if you have a microwave, all of our lights, all of our outlets, we don't notice any difference in that condition. And that's how we keep it 100% of the time. We keep ours on. The thing to know about this guy is that you can read the information here, but you can also download the Victron Connect app. And there are other screens. If you tap in the center, it will give you this little menu option down here, and we can just see brief. That might be a little easier for you to read. If you have any notifications or errors, It'll give you those alerts there. And there are also settings in here that we can connect to Wi-Fi. Now that's a whole separate topic. You can deep dive into that as much as you so choose. But if you've learned nothing else, there's a really handy app, and you can tell your battery percentage. So your trailer will behave as though it's plugged in so long as you have battery power, which is a really nice thing. So this is all fine and well. Now, if your unit was already in the on position, you basically plug in, maybe turn on your water heater, maybe flip this over to electric mode if you so choose, man, you're done. But is there anything that we need to do under here, where all the brains of this system are? Long story short, there's really nothing that you need to do in here day to day. This will remain closed, it will run happy, and it's a very consistent and reliable product. Now, just a little bit of an overview in here. We have a battery bank over here, and we've extended ours, which is pretty easy to do overall. So we have 700 amp hours of battery, and by default, you're gonna have 200 amp hours of battery, unless you've configured yours differently. We have this big blue box, which is called our multi-plus, and that's what that little controller up there does, where we can flip the switch three-way. While there are on-off buttons here, we can go ahead and control that from here, and it will always respect this condition there. We have this guy that's called a servo, and that is the brains for our system. Again, you don't have to touch that, although we did add a little GPS unit to ours. It's just a plug-and-play system, where this unit will completely disconnect our batteries. And so if we're putting our unit in storage, of course, we want to go ahead and disconnect those so that we're not draining our batteries. But these two breakers right here, and they're very easy to operate. You simply push to disconnect. So this would disconnect the solar or the DC side of things. So if we disconnect this, in just a moment, we're going to see our lights go off. There we are. And then we can go ahead and just lift those little tabs right there to reconnect. So day to day, this is not something you have to worry about. You never really have to get in there. There's no maintenance items to do with lithium batteries. So it's a very nice contained system. But if your trailer is going into storage, go ahead, run that disconnect for the battery, the solar, and the DC connections. Now, the next logical question is, if I have my inverter on and I am unplugged as we are right now, how long will everything run? That is an interesting question because it's very variable. The first thing is that it does depend on how many batteries you have, which is basically how much stored energy you have. For example, when we got our trailer, we had two 100 amp hour batteries. To break this down though, they are 12.8 volt batteries that are 100 amp hours. So volts times amps equals watts. So we had a total of 2,560 watt hours. Might sound confusing. Bear with me. That means 2,560 watts total. Let's say air conditioner is 1,700 watts and we're running an air fryer off and on. Say in 1 hour we were using 2,560 watts, it would only last 1 hour. But if we were using, say, 1,200 watts in an hour, and that was consistent, we could run that for 2 hours. A little over. We can come up here actually, and we can check this out. You see, we're discharging, and based on using 130 watts and 86 watts here, this is estimating, especially given that we're only getting 90 watts currently, that we could run this exact load in these exact conditions with our solar panels for 3 days and 1 hour. Now, the beauty of this is that you don't need to know volts and amps in this. Whether it's 120 volts or 12 volts like our batteries are, it's the same wattage. So if we're getting only 90 watts in, but we're withdrawing 300 watts, of course, our batteries are depleting. But let's say our batteries are at 50% and we are using 300 watts, that's going out of our batteries, but we're getting 600 watts from solar. That would mean that we are adding 300 watts of charge to our batteries, and it will be a slow charge, but we'll get there eventually. Granted, sun's not out all the time, and there might be cloud conditions, things like that, and that's gonna be very variable. Actually, let's head outside and talk about solar. So let's talk about solar. What do you need to do with it? Basically, nothing. There's really no maintenance that you need to keep up on, and that's the beauty of solar. When the sun is out, or even, you saw we were getting at least 90 watts, even in these cloud covered conditions, and the sun is really low in the sky, we're still producing power, and that's a wonderful thing. However, you might want to go ahead when you wash your trailer, get up there with a very soft microfiber cloth and perhaps a wax and wash, something that's non-abrasive. You do not want to ruin the coating on these. Go ahead and just get up there and just clean those panels off. That's all they need. I will say our panels are probably pretty dirty and they are still producing at least the amount that we expect out of them. So even dirty, they're still producing, which is great. Now I will say, these panels might be rated for 200 watts each, but there are so many variables. So I had mentioned that the sun is low and we're not getting nearly as much. Cloud cover is going to affect things. Shadow is going to affect things as well. And that's a big deal. So if you have a tree casting shade on one half of your trailer, perhaps over those solar panels, obviously you're not going to get hardly any power out of those, but you might out of the ones on the other side. The only other thing to mention is that scratches from branches and such can be an issue, of course. They are going to block the sun's rays from hitting the solar cells. However, I will say these panels are extraordinarily durable and resilient. And I've seen some panels that have been pretty badly damaged, still producing a remarkable amount of power. Now, the real advantage here, again, these are silent. They don't produce any fumes. They don't require any oil or gasoline. It's a wonderful system, and we actually live entirely off-grid, other than when we have the very rare instance that we plug into a park, or if we are staying with a friend and they offer an extension cable. So when you plug in your vehicle, usually your truck or SUV, to your trailer, it's going to go ahead and one of these pins will grab power and it'll help charge your batteries. One question we receive a lot is, can we go ahead and run our fridge, which takes about 330 watts while it's on? We have an absorption style fridge. Can we run that off of the pigtail power that we're getting from the truck? The answer for us is sort of. So we get, I've noticed, about 110 to 150 watts out of that cable. It's not a very thick gauge cable and it doesn't request a lot of power. The power that's coming in is limited, but it is nice. It definitely helps to give a little bit of juice to the batteries. So when we run our fridge off of electric, we generally will make sure that we're 80% or above on our battery level, that we're getting decent solar, and then we run no problem. So that is everything you should need to know about the power systems in your Escape trailer. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm Joel from Cozy Living Machine on behalf of Escape, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.